Thank you for joining me in Frugal Willie Mae's Kitchen today. It is a beautiful sunshiny day in Tennessee. I do recommend buying organic whenever possible. But if I do things correctly, I will be eating vegetables from this purchase all summer long. The only exception is the avocado. I'm not sure that I'll be able to regrow avocado trees in Tennessee. A very frugal way that we can use these vegetables that we bought once is there's ways you can use them. You can use every one of these vegetables in one way or another. The one way that I like is where I'm regrowing the vegetables. And you take like this cabbage, and you can use green cabbage, red cabbage. I've used both and it does work good. And I cut off maybe an inch and a half or 2 inches from the root up and put that in the soil. On the carrots, you want to get the root portion and you want to cut that maybe a 1/2 inch and you stick that down in the soil and it will regrow. The squash, you may have to use the seeds. I cannot remember whether I tried the growing from the root, but I am going to try that this year. In fact, sometime in the next, within the next couple of weeks, I'll be trying that, either drying the seeds and planting them or using that root. Of course, this is a carrot where I put it in water and it's grown, the leaves have grown up. But I grew many types of lettuces, and I would take the root portion and I'd cut maybe 2 inches off of that, stick that down in the soil, and I was able just to cut my the leaves from about this size on up and make salads. Those were very enjoyable. The other thing you can do is with the onions, and they're very easy to take the roots. And it already has the roots growing, but if you cut them off, you stick them down in the soil and they will start to grow. The other thing is the garlic. Garlic did real well. The onions and the garlic, I was always too impatient to wait until it actually made the bigger bulbs. I'll show you this one that's already opened up. And I like those type of bulbs. And you can to plant them, you would plant a clove. They don't call them a bulb. They're a clove of garlic. And you want to plant it down. The root's going to come out here. You want to plant it down like so. And you've got quite a few cloves in each head of garlic. And each one of those is going to make another garlic plant. Now I have a 2 or 3 pots that I've started. This one I just, like I showed you, I cut the root part off. I stuck it down in the dirt. I just did this a couple of days ago, so it hasn't had time to even grow. I wanted to try growing a lemon tree. I do understand that when you're growing it from a seed, it may not turn out like the regular lemon tree that you would, especially if you're going to be doing it inside. You really need like a dwarf lemon tree. In 1 to 3 years on a dwarf tree, as long as you fertilize it and water it correctly, you would be having fruit. Now, it's possible that when this grows up, it'll be a nice looking plant, and I can replant it outside when it gets a decent size. Way too cold to plant anything outside right now. But these are, like I showed you, was the carrots, and I will plant them in a pot also. The other thing that I do grow, and I did buy a plant at the grocery. This is the mint. I did have a basil plant and a rosemary plant. For whatever reason, my rosemary plants did not do well. I tried 2 of them and they both died. So in the past, I've had them to get to where they were almost as tall as me, and I'm like 5'1". So I don't know what happened with these 2. A number of years ago, I had a really big rosemary plant that I had in the ground, and it I would cover it up in the winter, but we had a really hard freeze, blowing winds, and it blew the cover off, and it had frost all over it, so I ended up cutting it down. And it was tree size. It was several years old, but I started it in a pot. It wasn't as big as this mint. The mint, it's hard to kill mint. And I hope to put them outside whenever it gets warm enough. Of money, and it adds to our the food supply that we've got. And now with food chain issues, you may need to grow your some of these vegetables, the ones that you really like. Regrow some things outside whenever the weather warms up. You definitely will have a better product, because most all the time, you're not going to be having all the poisons that has to be put on the vegetables in order to have the food. If you don't, the bugs will eat it up. I hope this helps you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you come back to see us again. Thank you so much for being a part of the Frugal Willie Mae community. I love each and every one of you, and I pray that you are blessed this day, you and your family.